This video will demonstrate how to carry out both regular and full maintenance on the Z4000 Brewer unit. The Z4000 Brewer comes in 3 popular versions. The standard version has a plastic brewing chamber and is widely used across Avoca machines. The advanced models feature stainless steel chambers with insert heating elements rod, and one of them includes a larger 21 grams coffee basket. For this demo, we'll be working with the plastic version, but we'll also mention differences for the other two. To begin, open the machine door and remove the drip tray and grounds drawer to access the brewer. Look underneath the brewer and push the green locking tab upward to release it. Gently pull the brewer slightly out of position. From the top, disconnect the green dispensing spout by twisting and pulling it away from the brewer. If you're working with the 21 grams brewer model, there might not be enough space to remove the spout from above. In that case, support the brewer from underneath, then disconnect the spout and hang it aside. If your brewer has a heating element, unplug the connector at the back before fully removing the brewer. Now let's go through the basic maintenance steps. Start by unscrewing the green key on the top of the brewer, which unlocks the upper piston. Rotate the piston upward to expose the shower screen. Unscrew and remove the shower screen, then inspect or replace the group seal underneath. If deeper maintenance is required, you can remove the entire upper piston by unscrewing it from the top and replace the 2 seals on the piston shaft. When reassembling the top section, make sure all parts are clean and the seals are the correct size. Be careful when inserting the screws, always turn them slightly anti-clockwise first to find the original thread, then tighten. Since metal screws go into plastic parts, this prevents damage to the thread. Don't over-tighten. Next, we move to the bottom piston. Manually turn the crank plate to raise the piston up. Unscrew and remove the lower shower screen. Then, from underneath the brewer, push the metal rod upwards to lift the bottom piston out of the chamber. Clean the piston thoroughly and replace the seal if needed. Once done, insert the piston back into the chamber, screw the lower screen back in. Reinstall the green locking key at the top to hold the upper piston in place. Manually rotate the brewer to make sure everything moves smoothly. This is a good time to apply a small amount of food-grade grease to the upper and lower seals, and around the bottom chamber, to ensure smooth operation and a good seal. Once all parts are cleaned, reassembled, and properly greased, your brewer is ready for another round of pumping.
Now let's move on to how to fully disassemble the brewer. Place the brewer flat on a table. Using a suitable tool, remove the central fixing collar ring, then take off the connecting arm along with the guide sliding block. Unscrew the retainer washer from the bottom to remove the crank plate. While removing it, check the inside of the crank plate for any signs of damage or wear. Once the crank plate is removed, you'll see 4 screws holding the 2 halves of the brewer together. On some models, additional screws may secure the 2 pinions and prevent disassembly. These can be removed while holding the crank plate in place to avoid it turning. The same method applies when reassembling. Be careful with the rubber washer, set it aside safely. Next, remove the bottom piston scraper and its spring. Turn the brewer over and remove the top green locking key to release the upper piston. Again, remove the fixing collar ring, connecting arm, and guide sliding block. The bottom piston chamber should now drop free from the support. Unscrew the bottom retainer washer to remove the crank plate from this side as well. To disassemble the piston chamber, remove the circlip from the bottom to release the piston rod guide. Then compress the piston return spring and remove the second circlip in the middle of the rod. Slide the piston and rod out from the top. Removing the 4 screws at the base gives you access to the center O-ring. You can also remove the top piston scraper and its spring. For stainless steel models, you'll need to remove the 2 screws at the base that secure the chamber locking flange. This allows you to remove the heating element insert. Use an Allen key to hold the piston rod from below and a Phillips screwdriver to remove the top screw. Then remove the center white sleeve to gain the access to the center O-ring. With the brewer fully disassembled, Clean all parts thoroughly and replace any worn components. Now, let's reassemble the unit. Start with stainless steel models, place the O-ring followed by the white sleeve insert, make sure it's flushed with the base, then insert the chamber heating element. There's only one slot big enough to fit the element in. Then place the metal flange and make sure the element wire pass through the designated breech. Next, send the piston rod with its spring into the chamber, place the bottom piston onto the rod, and tighten with Allen key and Phillips screwdriver. Don't forget to secure the metal flange by the 2 screws. Now the bottom chamber assembly are ready, can be waiting aside. Similar rules apply to the plastic brewer. Start by inserting the piston rod from the top. Slide the center O-ring onto the rod from underneath, followed by the lower support. Secure it with the appropriate screws. Place the piston return spring onto the rod, compress it, and lock it with the circlip. Install the piston guide and secure it with another circlip. You can press the bottom piston manually to check its movement. Use the 2 connecting arms as a base to support the reassembly. Begin with the SX side, place the SX support onto the arms, have your bottom piston ready and install the top piston scraper onto it. Place the bottom piston onto the SX support and ensuring the water inlet port is going into the SX support. And remember to reinstall the rubber washer. Next, place the upper piston into the SX support, making sure the air vent port faces forward. Close the brewer using the DX support and secure it with the 4 screws. When reinstalling the crank plate, ensure the bottom piston is in a vertical position. Double-check that the crank plate and supporter are aligned, look for matching arrows. Gently lower the crank plate into place. You can inspect the alignment by viewing from the rear gap to see if the piston foot sits properly in the crank groove. Secure the crank plate with the retainer washer, and reattach the connecting arm and sliding block using the fixing collar ring. Repeat the same steps on the SX side. Don't forget to reinstall the green upper piston key. Stand the brewer upright, reposition the bottom piston scraper, and ensure it's properly seated. Once everything is back in place, manually rotate the crank plate to confirm smooth, correct operation. To reinstall the brew unit, gently slide the brewer back into its position, reconnect the green dispensing spout if you are working on a 21 grams brewer. Next, make sure the guide tracks inside the machine are clear and aligned, then lift up the green lock while pushing the brewer inwards firmly. You will find the locking tab drop down and lock the brewer automatically if you've done it right. If your model has a heating element, reconnect the power cable before proceeding. Ensure all connections are secure before closing the door and powering the machine back on.